Coming up on today's show, we finally get to see James Gunn's DC universe when we break down Superman. Stay tuned.
Hey, quit messing around. I'm not messing around. I'm doing important stuff.
Welcome, folks, to the Morgue, where we dissect the latest and greatest in the world of entertainment. And I am Arturo Padilla, and with me always is Mr. Nick Valdez. Tex, we have a good one for the lovely people out there today. How are you
Yes, we
today,
do.
Tex?
Yes, we do. I am very excited just to get into this. James Gunn's Superman. We've talked about this here at the Morgue a billion times by this point. There's so much going in that we kind of have to set the table even before getting
Absolutely.
in this review a little bit. There's just, even if he'll give an interview where he says he's ignoring the pressures or it doesn't need to hit a certain number at the box office to be a hit, but we all know, unfortunately, that's not the case, right? Like this kind of has to be it.
It's
Like
pressure,
it's
pressure upon
yes,
pressure upon pressure upon pressure. Like he has to know it. He's just he's being very nonchalant about it. You know what I
yeah,
mean? There,
and
but there
that
is no other way to be about it, or else you'll be kind of a hot mess the entire time. You know?
yeah, like I can imagine what he's going through because he is not only the one leading this new DC Studios vision, but he's directing the very first movie out of it, setting the tone for this new universe.
Yep.
And so this is after Warner Brothers tossed out the entire Zack Snyder vision, the DCEU, all those plans completely washed out. This is a brand new Superman. This is a brand new DC universe that we're going to be seeing.
Hmm.
And so there's a lot that needed to get done. Maybe too much that got done. So we'll discuss that a little bit. But just going in, how we do it at the Morgue, it's our rating scale is pay for it, wait for it, and stay away from it. There's a pay for it, which is, oh man, go instantly see it as fast as possible. Go pay in the theater to see it. There's a wait for it, which is, oh yeah, it was fine. You can wait until you watch it in the comfort of your own home, whether it's through rental or streaming or when it's free. And then there's stay away from it. Self-explanatory. You don't need to see it whatsoever. So I will just lead us off here, Arturo. I will say pay for it. This is just, spoiler free. This is just James Gunn had a lot of pressure. He might have bit off a little more than he could have chewed with this in some areas, but ultimately, it's a great Superman movie that you just need to see in theaters, and I loved it. I just, what did you think, Arturo?
Yeah, just real quick, because I definitely want to start getting this breakdown going. I loved it, and my kids loved it. It was their first Superman movie in theaters. It was no, because not the first superhero, because we've seen Blue Beetle in theaters and stuff like that. But this was their first, like, tent pole. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, this is their first big one, right?
Yes,
This is their
yes,
first,
because they never joined me for the Marvel stuff before. They were too young for that really awesome phase of Marvel. So, knowing that they really enjoyed it and cannot wait for a sequel, um, it it makes me really happy and really, really happy as a comic book fan and as a movie fan. And I, as well, will say pay for it. As Tex mentioned, there was a lot of anticipation. It, we talked about it, Tex. I remember sitting in the theater, right, before this all started, right?
Mhm.
And I thought about how much we have spoken about this movie here on this show, right? I go back to 2024 last year or late
Yes.
2023, when we started getting pictures of him getting bulked up and all that. And we were like, oh my God, Tex, it is happening, right? It's
Yeah.
finally happening. And but we were like, "Oh my god, but it's so far away," right?
Yeah, it was tough because, like we said, there was so much there's so much pressure on this movie, and because of that, there were so many questions we had. There were so many moments where we were like, "Can we believe that this is actually going to succeed? Can we believe that this is going to be a good Superman movie?" Because that's the thing, like, for Marvel, for as much as, they've dominated theaters for, like, 10 years, and for as much as, like, DC really floundered, the thing is, like, when you have a good DC hero movie, they're good. Like,
Yes.
they're really good. It's why, like, the Batman was such, like, a big deal, because when
Yeah.
it came out, people were like, "Yo, this is incredible." There's just something about that trinity of characters of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman that really nothing Marvel has ever done has been able to reach those levels of, not only of like pop culture notoriety, but honestly, as in like story. There's just something about those three characters in particular that are so clean, that's just so just
Iconic.
yeah, iconic, that
Yeah.
like you finally get a good version of one of those. You're like, where has this been all this?
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
And, the last good version we got of this character was back in 2013 with, Henry Cavill's Man of Steel.
Yeah,
Unfortunately for Henry Cavill and that version of Superman, which I really enjoyed, it was short-lived because of the pressures, DC had to compete against Marvel at the time. They wanted to just ramp everything up. We never
yep,
got a Man of Steel 2. We never really got any fallout emotionally from him about Zod, about what happened in Metropolis. Like it just went right to that other stuff and kind of just, muddled the character a lot, especially with the Doomsday and the death and his
right.
resurrection and all that other
Yeah,
nonsense that happened.
it's
Um,
why
hasn't
it's
been
why
good,
there's
Tex.
so yeah, it's why there are so many people who are like, defending Snyder's vision and being like, "Oh, bring it back, bring it back." And like, I get it, because we never got a proper Superman sequel
Yes,
out of that.
exactly.
Like, so there's so much left on the vine that we were all like, "Yo, I want to see more." And so I get it. And like getting to this new version of Superman, I get why some people are like still like clinging to the past. But the unfortunate thing is, you just have to accept this is where we're at. And thankfully, this is a good movie to start this new universe.
Yes.
So let's get into this,
Yeah,
Arturo.
absolutely. And you just mentioned actually perfectly, Tex, accepting where we're at, right? And
Yes.
going into this movie, that is kind of how you have to be.
Yes.
This movie, I have to say, it's not for the person who has no clue what DC or Superman is all about, This movie legit is for the fan, you know?
Yeah.
It is a good movie, we'll break all that down, but it is a little,
But
long on
we
the
do,
tooth,
yeah,
but
yeah,
there
we
are
do have
things
to
we
start
definitely
with that.
yeah,
Yes.
we definitely have some gripes with it. We just have to put that out there, but like I said before, it's like I was telling Tex off air. It's like, as a comic book fan, you go into a comic book understanding the comic book rules, that there are no rules, that anything can happen. And that's exactly the way you have to step into this movie because we are thrown pretty much into right into the thick of it. Right in the beginning of the movie, it tells you a quick little, text history of what's going on. So pretty much metahumans have been around for 300 years, right? And Superman has been around for he landed on Earth 30 years ago, and then he's been around like what as a Superman for the last 3 years, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um, so he's 30 years old, which is cool that it gives us a context of time. So he's in his peak right now, right? He's 3 years into his career. And as we start the movie, he's what 3 days into like losing a fight or something like that.
Yeah, like the movie says, like he just lost his first big
Yeah.
fight. So like, it sucks. It's one of those things where like I would have liked to seen that. That would have been a
Yeah.
cool way to start the movie, of Superman getting his ass kicked, if that was if that was
At
the
least like,
idea.
the hit that got him to that scene,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
shot,
like
right? Yeah.
it's a cool opening. It's just that's the issue with this movie. There's like it's kind of the opening in general. Like at first, like that first 30 minutes, it's a lot. Like there's a lot going on. There's a lot like because we're getting thrown right into the thick of it. There's a lot it kind of has to do. Like because it's also the origin movie. It's also the start of this new DC universe. So like it has a lot to do. It's got a lot of characters it's throwing at you. It has a lot of things that need to be introduced and conveyed and that. But that's the thing, like it's bumpy, but once everyone's introduced and it gets into the groove of its story and it allows itself to tell its story, then you're like, all right, I'm in, I'm fully in. Because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just like it it just needs to do the work first, and that might be the only issue I have with it. Like
yeah.
it's but
Mhm.
that's the thing. But it kind of is a notable gripe to point out. Like while I do love it, it is a dense movie. Like for that first like yeah, it's because you're meeting Superman, but he's also Clark Kent, and he's also this, and he's got
Yeah.
these people who work at the Daily Planet with him,
Mhm.
and he's got all these people who Lex Luthor has got his own cronies and his own people, and everyone's got like 20 lines, and everyone's got like their own character
Yeah.
backstory. It
Yeah.
really is a full blown comic universe,
Yeah.
and in that way, like like Arturo said, if you're experienced with the Superman idea in general, then you're gonna love it because you're like, yo, I'm getting thrown right into an episode of the animated series. This is a full-blown metropolis. Like
Yeah.
there's no like
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like, oh, it's New York, but with Superman. No,
It
it
it's
feels like its own
Metropolis.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
absolutely. Yeah, like, it has its own buildings, it has its own architecture, its own
yeah,
landscape, right? And as you mentioned perfectly, like, you're getting thrown into like, an episode where Luthor is just hating on Superman again, right?
yeah,
And it just honestly, for me, it kind of worked perfectly. I've been watching a lot of Superman animated movies on DC, because my son loves the animated stuff. So I put it on so he can just kind of visually look up every once in a while, so he can, see some cool stuff. So me going into this movie, I was like, oh, okay, cool. It's like I'm
yeah.
just getting right into the thick of it with another adventure with my pal Superman over here.
Yeah,
Um,
that's really what it is. You
yeah.
open a comic,
Mhm.
you're like mid arc in a comic, you pick up like issue 4 of like, oh, Superman's blood feud or whatever, and you're like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
here are all the characters involved. You're just like reading all the. That's kind of what this movie is.
Yeah.
But once once it gets done with those introductions, once it gets done with like setting the stage, and then getting to do what it's going to do, like it's just kind of boom, boom, boom from then on. Like
Yeah.
it's like then it's like it's soaring. Like it's quite literally like, yo, like it's it's a great movie.
Yeah.
And shout outs
Yeah.
to Gunn. Like, you know, Arturo and I, right? We have our issues with James Gunn as a creative in general. Like a lot of his movies sound the same. A lot of his movies look the same.
Yeah,
His
like too
characters
many
act the
needle
same.
drops sometimes as well. This one actually was it didn't have that problem.
Yeah,
Um
it still has like
he
one or
he
two
did
needle
yeah,
drops.
he
Yeah,
did do his musical stuff always, he does have to include his musical taste in every movie he does.
right.
But yeah, as Tex mentioned, once we get past, like the first half of like the first act pretty much, right? And
Yes.
we're in Metropolis. We already see him as Clark Kent just doing his thing. We get to the interview with him and Lois that we see in the movie trailer. We're already here, we're in
Yeah.
the thick of it. And then now the big story that pops up is that pretty much Lex finds out where his Fortress of Solitude is, right?
Yeah.
And we get rolling when Lex exposes this message that his parents left with him, that Superman's parents left with him when they sent him all the way to Earth, right? So Superman has been grown up thinking that this message is one of like hope and help the humans and all this stuff, and then Lex exposes it to be not true. If that's true or not, we don't know, but I
Right.
also
Right.
don't care, because it is like an episode. It's like, okay, Lex doing Lex things.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it brings up some big
Yeah.
questions, but at the same time, it's like, well, there's so much going on. That's the other thing. There's so much going on in this movie that it does feel like it's going a little fast in some places. And if you're not following along, then like sorry, but also it's okay. Like that's the thing. Like you never feel like you're completely lost. Like if you don't like totally understand a character or a character's place, it's okay because like maybe like 30 seconds later someone new shows up to like
Yeah.
interact with Superman, and that's just kind of the vibe. And
Yeah.
I think in terms of that, like in terms of being like the first in a DCU and like establishing that this is a whole universe, Gunn did succeed. Like I think, you know, he might have taken on a little more than he should have, but at the same time, this movie does do a lot to establish like his tone and what kind of universe we're walking into here, and of like, okay, everyone's just kind of be interacting with one another, and that's just kind of, you know, and what helps is that everyone's so good. Like the characters are so like they really are really well written. Like I
Agreed.
just
Yeah.
Superman alone, David Cornsweet, like perfect choice. You know,
Yeah, let's
this
get
is
into that text. Let's start breaking down these characters, especially
yeah,
Big Blue, right?
yeah, just
Uh, um, I am a big proponent for the Henry Cavill Superman, right, and
right.
Man of Steel and
He
what we
never
got
got his
there.
he never got his due. He never did get to
Unfortunately,
have his proper
he
due.
never
Yeah,
peaked because of, studio nonsense.
right.
Um, but I am happily here to say that, I have a new Superman, folks, and his
Yeah.
name is David Corenswet, because I really, really loved what James Gunn did with Clark Kent,
Yeah,
Kal-El, Superman. I loved everything he did that revolves around Superman. Ma and Pa Kent, especially, were a couple of my favorite characters that had some very, very intense emotional beats that honestly, between me and Tex, we were talking about it. That's one gripe that we had. I wish
yeah,
they would have kind of focused a little bit more on that Ma and Pa Kent relationship.
yeah,
But
and that's
again,
yeah,
as you said, right? Like, he's 3 years into this. This is not like a real origin story where we
yeah,
see him land, in Kansas, and we see him growing up, and we see him get raised. No, he already has his morals from Pa Kent and Ma Kent.
dude.
You know,
I think that's what's gonna ultimately be the source of my gripe
yeah,
is that I really would have liked another origin. I know people are like, "Oh, origin stories are so bad" or whatever, but this is our first time meeting this guy,
yeah,
and I, I would have been fine with another origin story. I really don't have issues with them, like
yeah,
because
yeah,
they're different interpretations. Like it's not, yeah, it's the same, you know, getting sent to landing in Kansas and whatever, but like everyone does them differently. Zack Snyder would have done it differently than Gunn. Gunn would have done it differently than Donner. So like, you know, like
You know what though,
I don't
Tech?
know.
I understand that gripe, but I have to disagree. I think having him, like, having time added to the movie, right?
Right.
To show him kind of growing up and doing all this stuff, like, yes, that's great and everything, but, like, I'm trying to think, where would I have cut the movie,
Oh
right?
no, I'm saying I would have liked that entirely
But
rather
then
than
but
what we
then,
got. I think that's
like,
what my problem
near
is.
the end of the
Yeah.
movie, we get this very nice emotional, like, kind of like, video package, you can
Yeah,
call it,
it's
where
basically a video montage, yeah,
yeah, a
of
video
like
montage of him growing up in Kansas. So I think having that there satisfied that for me, because 'cause I'm like,
right.
"Oh, that's a very nice way to do it without having to bog down the beginning of the movie and getting kind of right into the thick of it right away, instead of having to, see him get picked on, see him get bullied, grow up, do the whole Clark Kent shtick, find the
Right.
Fortress of Solitude." Cool. I'm glad, that, we get to see some little moments maybe in part 2. We'll get some more of that
Yeah,
origin stuff kind of sprinkled
yeah,
in
because
there.
I think I think that might be, you know, now that we're picking it open, like the
Yeah,
more I pick it apart, the
we
more
gotta
I'm like,
dissect it here.
okay.
This is why this is the morgue, baby.
Yeah, the more I pick it apart, the more I'm like, I would have liked more Superman, if that makes any sense. You know, like because there's a lot of time spent on not Superman, you know, in this movie. And like I do like that there are characters, yeah, like Mr. Terrific and Lois get like this huge moment. And Mr. Terrific, by the way, terrific. That's kind of like the
Yes.
perfect like like
Gaethje did a good
he
job with that. Yeah.
yeah, he probably gets the best fight scene in the movie, and, like, it is notably, like, I think one of only 2 needle drops, but then, like, when you get it, you're like, "Oh, this is actually, like, a great scene,"
Yeah,
and
my
just,
son
like
loved it. He was like, "Whoa, that's so cool." I'm like, "This
yeah,
is terrific." You
yeah,
know?
I really think, like, he had the best like, fight scene in the movie overall. I really think he's just, like, as a character, you're like, "Yo, where's that movie?" Right? Like, I'm kinda like, after walking out of that, I'm like, "Yeah, I would take a Mr. Terrific movie or, like, a
Yeah.
TV show or something," you know? Like,
Well, you know
I
what?
would take it.
Speaking of Mr. Terrific, like, the whole Justice Gang, I'd be
Yes.
down for a Justice Gang, quick little, like, 90-minute, 100-minute movie, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like,
You don't
oh,
need to
Nathan
introduce us too much to them. We already kinda know the group. It'd be cool to get some of that, you know?
yeah, exactly. Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner,
Yep.
just a great choice. Isabella
Oh, he
Merced's
he was good,
Hawk
by the
Girl.
way. Like,
Yo,
he
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 kinda
definitely
stole the
kind of
show a
stole
little
every
bit.
scene he
Yeah,
was in. He
yeah,
knew he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna, shine every chance I can get," and he really does. Because, like, you would think he doesn't get much to do based on what you see in the trailer. It's like, "Oh, some Guy Gardner, B-hero stuff," right? But then, like, he actually gets some lines and he steals the show when he does get those lines. And I think it works out very well to have him as Guy Gardner. I thought that was great casting. I wish we got a little bit more from Hawk Girl. We didn't get
yeah,
too much from her character, not much dialogue either from her. But they wanted to really showcase Mr. Terrific for sure. To kind of, hey, this is the leader, kind of, the smart
yeah,
guy, as they say, right? The
yeah.
smart guy of the Justice Gang.
I do think it was important that
Yeah,
they are setting the groundwork for later stuff with him. So
absolutely.
I think that's the thing. Is like they made sure to really have him stand out so that when we see him in something, we're like, oh yeah, that's Mr. Terrific. And so like that's awesome because first of all, Mr. Terrific is definitely not even like I think he's like C tier in terms of like
Yeah,
recognition, maybe
yeah.
even less so like D tier. Like I don't think there were many like Mr. Terrific fans going into this. So that
No,
is a good like that is a good upside is that you're going to see lots of people with that jacket with the whole setup. Like I can't wait to see people cosplay and that stuff. Like
yeah.
it's going to look great.
It's gonna be
And
dope.
yeah, and but on top of that too, like just speaking of the characters rounding them out, like Lex Luthor, Nicholas Holt, like like I hope like give the guy his money. Like he's like like not only is he like probably the biggest star in this by far, just like in terms of prestige and what he's
Yeah,
done.
no, yeah,
But
he
like,
has the biggest, filmography for sure in terms of successful movies too, you know?
yeah, yeah,
So,
that's the thing. Like, this dude has done like big hitters, and
yeah,
like he brings that talent to Superman and kind of gives it that little level of like credibility that it also needed. Of like,
yeah.
like,
I was
and
also very skeptical about his Lex, because
yes,
we didn't get much in the trailer. Um, we got a little monologue in the second trailer, but I was concerned as to what we were actually gonna be, getting here. And to folks, I'll like he blew me out of the water. Like,
yeah,
this
he's
guy
incredible.
just understood the mission and what he had to do, and he accomplished it 110%. He had a really awesome monologue near the height of the action, the climax there, where he kind of just gives you his motive,
Right.
and it's just like, wow, it's like, yeah, dude, no wonder you're pissed,
Yeah,
because he's jealous, bro. He's just a
yeah,
jealous guy who's like, yo, I had to work for all this,
dude, it's perfect. It's a perfect Lex Luthor
Yeah,
characterization because he's smart, he's got all the money, but the problem is it has always been why. It's like why is Lex so focused on Superman? And
he's
it's
the
because
greatest
he's
criminal mind of
jealous.
our era, Tex.
Yeah, it's because
T-Mac.
he's jealous, and like you get that with Nicholas Holt. He gives you
Yes,
that
absolutely.
presence. He gives you that he's willing to kill people. He
Oh,
does. Like
he
spoiler
does.
alert, he
He
does. Like
does, and it's like, you don't know, we're not gonna tell you when that happens, but, like, when it happens, you're shocked. You're like, "Oh my god,
yeah,
they legit, like, pardon the pun, pulled the trigger on that,"
yeah, and
and,
it's like,
it's wild.
and it kind of stands out. It's like, oh no, his Lex actually killed someone. So it's like, oh, okay, this is real. This
And,
isn't comic
and
book
he
stuff.
didn't
You're like,
really like bat an eyelash. He was just like, "Oh, I thought this was gonna take a little longer." That was
yeah,
his only
yeah,
comment. So you
yeah. And
know
it
that
was,
this dude's ruthless. He
dude, yeah,
freaking
and he's
created
like,
a pocket dimension.
yeah,
In order
yeah, and
to
he's
accomplish his dastardly deeds. Um,
yeah, and
really impressed.
yeah, he started a war in order to like bring all this about too. So it's like it's
Such a
very good.
Luther thing, right? That's such a
Yeah,
comic book Luther thing, man. I
yeah,
love it.
it's very good Luther stuff, and so he's just like he adds so much to his performance, and it's a little whiny. Like
Yeah.
he has a tone where he's like dancing that line to like make it perfect. Of like,
Yeah, he's
yeah,
that
he's still
spoiled
Luthor.
bratty thing, but still kind of just
Yeah,
like, I have conviction in doing this. And it's funny because like, his conviction spread all over his team because when he's exposed at the end, his team is like, "What?
yeah,
Like,
his
what
team's kind of
happened?"
even like, yo, they were believing in the mission too.
Yeah,
Like,
dude, they were
it's
all in, dude, on Luther
dude,
Court, man.
yeah, it's so good, man. Like that's the other thing too. Like like Gunn, like I said, I do have issue with how much is in here and how many characters, but if I do give him credit for being able to balance it, and like he did write them all well enough. Like I think ultimately maybe I would have liked more in some things, but that's is that an issue? I don't know, right? Like it's
You
like,
know what
oh,
though?
it's a
That
good movie. I would have liked more,
That's
right?
a great
So
point, though. I am surprised it's that short. It's under,
yeah,
it's 2 hours and, like, 9 minutes or something like that.
yeah, I would have
Um,
taken like an
Give
extra
me
5 minutes
another
or so.
not
Yeah,
even, give me another freaking 10 minutes, you know what
yeah,
I mean?
because that's the thing. It's like when he gets to Ma and Pa's house, and it's in the middle of the movie, and it's like in between big fights, and the moment we get there, it hits you so hard that I personally would have loved to sit in that for like another minute or so.
Yes.
That's the thing. It's like I would have loved to take in another beat before Superman's like, okay, I got to go be Superman again. But
Yes.
like I
Yep.
would have loved to just sit in that. There's nothing wrong with taking a beat and just being like, okay, here we are.
But
And
also,
then
you
we'll
know
get
why
to
you
it.
want that though, Tex? Because we didn't have those emotional beats in the beginning of the movie of him growing up,
And
learning from Pa
that's
Kent.
what it was.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
So when we
exactly
do
it.
get it, you're like, "Oh my god, this is what I need. Let's stay here for a little bit," but then, the world's going to crap,
Yeah,
so he
and
has to go put
yeah.
on his suit.
Yeah, and at the same time, it's like, okay, when you break it down, Superman goes on like a bunch of mini adventures. He's like,
Yeah, yeah,
fighting in the pocket dimension, fighting
yeah.
in Antarctica, fighting in whatever. Crypto's doing this. Crypto, by the way, Scene Stealer. Like honestly, Crypto the movie. Like I don't know if they're making that or if they're making like
I don't know,
shorts
my
or
kids
something
wanted a
with
dog
Crypto.
after the movie, and I was like,
Yeah,
"Absolutely not.
that was
He's gonna
kind of like the
destroy the house."
it was kind of the issue, right? It's like, yo, they made Crypto such a good dog, right? But yeah, like there's so much happening that like I would have loved like just to take a beat somewhere, and they are like there are beats where like Superman's downtrodden and he's with Lois or he's with Ma and Pa, but like I just would have liked like a minute or so more to just kind of soak it in before we get back to the because
Yeah.
that's the thing. I don't have an issue with the rest of the movie.
Oh,
I'm
I
still
love
saying
the
at the end of the day,
action.
I love it.
Yeah.
Like this is Superman action on screen. And when he's dude,
Oh,
the way Gunn does Superman,
yeah.
like there's he loves his close-ups, but here it really works. Like when Superman punches and then he like kind of turns around and you get the close-up on the insignia.
Oh,
I know in my
loved
heart.
it.
Yeah, it was like
I
in
was
my
like,
heart. Like I
"Yes, this is
felt it. Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
This is
That was
happening."
exactly it. I felt the butterflies. I'm like, yo, this is Superman. Like we're
Yes,
getting to see it. Like this
yes.
is a modern Superman, and we're getting to see like when he's like spinning around and flipping all the dudes off of him.
Yeah,
It's just
dude, like, and doing that whirlwind with the eye lasers and stuff. I'm like, "This is what
yeah,
I needed to see." Because, like,
it's it's the
because watching
coolest,
Man of
dude.
Steel, right? I saw Man of Steel several days ago, and we get some action there, but it's that kind of same old, Zod action. Like, we don't get
Yeah,
any kind of
it-
variation as to what's going on there besides, like, the city location and then, the Kansas and stuff. But, like, here, we get different locations, different baddies, like different kinds of obstacles and, and epic sizes of situations. And it just works. And I really loved everything they did with Superman. I enjoyed Lois as well. We didn't talk much about Lois, but I enjoyed Lois. We didn't get much of Lois, which I'm kind of
that's the thing, right? Like,
I'm kind of happy about that though, because Lois can be too much at times because of her personality.
yeah,
And I
The
think, yeah,
Lois and Clark thing could dominate, and
yes,
I think Gunn realized that too. If he kept them together, then that would be the whole focus of the movie rather
yes.
than everything
It'd
else.
be a
And
romance pretty much, you know what I mean? A
yeah,
romance
yeah,
adventure kinda thing. So, I'm glad
yes,
they kept them apart for a lot of the movie, and when they came together, it was just for those emotional beats that they kind of, show you, about their relationship and all that stuff. But I really liked Lois, and I can't wait to see what else they give her. I'm pretty sure they're gonna have her do a lot more beefier kind of stuff in part 2, a lot more, like, dialogue and all that, because now she's gonna be this reporter, extraordinaire and stuff like that by that point. So, I really liked Perry White. Wendell
yeah.
Pierce was
Oh,
awesome. I wish we had more
yo,
of him too, man. Don't call me Chief.
yeah, Perry's good, man. Like, dude, like that's the thing. Like, for like I said, I might have had issues with how many characters are in this thing and how much gets done,
Yeah,
but
same. Yeah,
I also like them. Like, they were all very well chosen. They were all like very well cast. Like they had like their lines were solid. Like I didn't
yeah.
really have any issues with anyone. Like even Metamorpho is in this, and you're like,
Yes,
yo, Metamorpho, but then like he gets a good little part too. Like it's yo,
very
okay, like
important piece of the puzzle,
yes,
Metamorpho.
like,
But
yo, like
yes, yes.
yes,
But that's exactly what we mentioned at the beginning of this review. Um, you're stepping into this comic book world, folks. Just know that, okay? Like it's not one where you're stepping in and then they're slowly building the superhero stuff. No, we're walking into this thing and they are superheroes and monsters galore to the point that the Justice Gang is fighting some interdimensional imp, and Superman's just chilling talking to Lois. You know
yeah.
what I
He's
mean?
like,
Because
oh
he's
yeah,
looking for
they've
his
got
dog,
it.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So like that's the world that we are in here, and honestly, I'm down for this cinematic universe. I'm very curious to see how Creature Commandos comes into this. We also get a very quick glimpse of Supergirl
Oh
in this
yeah,
one.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It was like big spoilers,
yeah.
but Supergirl, like
I'm surprised that
the,
wasn't a post credit, honestly. It
that it should have been
should have been. It would have
to
been the
be a
perfect
hundred
post
percent.
credit.
Yeah, to be 100% honest, and all you would have had to do is kind of rearrange the ending because
Yeah.
that's before he sits down and he sees his parents, and then
Yes.
it cuts to white, and you're like,
Easily
oh
done.
yeah,
It would have been
yeah,
easily done. Yeah.
you could have done that, and then like have him get out of the chair, right? And then like he's getting out of the chair in the post credits, and here comes Supergirl. But
Exactly. If
like,
anything, have them talk, to her off screen. You don't see
mm,
her until the post credit scene. And you're like,
yeah,
oh, that's
yeah.
what he was talking about.
So yeah,
Yeah.
she's getting the next big movie coming next year, I believe. Uh James Gunn's current plan is to do it was to do one film, or it was like one film, two TV shows, and one animated each year. So like that's not bad. I honestly, it might be two movies. So well, I guess we'll see. It might be two movies and one show, but I think it's the other way around. I do think it's one movie, two shows, and
Okay.
one animated. So like we've got Supergirl's coming. We've got the Lantern show is now in the works with the Green Lanterns. I think they've already finished filming. I think Nathan Fillion like mentioned that they were pretty much done. So like I can't wait to see what that looks like. He did it for as much as we lauded going in and be like, oh well, can he pull it off? There's so much pressure, but he did it. Like this is going to be enough of a success to like let Warner Brothers try out the DC movies, right? And to like, but now,
Listen,
right
as we
now that
record this, it is the day after its release.
yeah,
But we haven't heard box office numbers yet, so that's what I'm
yeah,
very curious about next
yeah.
because,
So, but now,
we
yeah,
they need they need they need it to succeed,
yeah,
like money wise too. Because now,
yeah,
as you mentioned, we know it's good, right?
yes,
But is it good enough for Warner Brothers to be like, all right, Gunn, here's the blank check,
yeah.
go do your thing,
Yeah,
right?
because
And that's what we're
that's
gonna
the
find out.
burden. that's the burden now, because the burden, yes, the burden was getting this out there, but now it's like, what do you do after? Right? Like, what do you, how do you follow this up? Is it going to be Peacemaker? Like, is that really the follow up you want to do to Superman? No, but that's the one we're getting. So it's like, oh, okay, now we're gonna have to watch Peacemaker, which I wasn't going to, but he's here, so
Listen,
like,
as long as it fills in, some stuff with, with Rick Flag and what he's doing in the background there. Now that the metahumans are in charge, right? So,
yeah, yeah. So
so I am
that's,
curious to see where that goes. But listen, Tex, folks, he did it, right?
yeah,
After a lot of speculation and a lot of just curiosity and concern and sleepless nights, we're here and James Gunn has done it. He has given us a Superman we can be proud of, and we can actually rewatch and be like, "Hey, kids, look, this is Superman." It's gonna be a fun ride. I like the fact that he is very particular about his storytelling. He doesn't do stuff, just because there's a sequel in the works. You know what I mean? So he's
right.
gonna wait till the story's right. And there's a lot to pick from in this Superman universe, folks. But just to remind you, this was a total pay for it, folks. Go to the movie theater and go pay for this thing immediately, please. And then come back and drop some comments because I know that this movie is gonna pique a lot of your interest and maybe some might not like it, because of certain things in there, but honestly, man, I'm waiting to see what happens next in this DC universe. And folks, thank you so much for listening. This has been The Morgue. Once again, I am Arturo Padilla, and with me is Mr. Nick Valdez. Go check us out on YouTube. Go like, subscribe, and share. Go hit that little bell so you know when these reviews are dropping, folks. And please never forget, it is a scary world out there, but we are here to walk you through it.